right, guys, on today's episode of Torchbearer TV, we're going to be talking about cosplay. Best way to do that is with our special guest, Kelly McDaniel, who is a
Hi.
cosplayer. So we're going to dive right into it. So let's go and find out, how long have you actually been cosplaying?
About 10 years, I think, officially. If we count
Wow.
my first official cosplay as a cosplay,
Mhm.
then yeah, 10 years.
Oh, wow. That is actually a very long time. Well, speaking of that, what was the first cosplay what first character
Yeah.
did you actually choose as a cosplay?
Charlotte from Lost. It was
Ooh,
for a last season viewing party,
that's
freshman year of
cool.
college. I was trying to be super cool, to my boyfriend, who did
Hmm.
not appreciate it that much, sadly. There were problems there, like any
Mm,
old 19 relationship at 19. But I did everything on that. Like, that was super easy to do.
cool.
But I think I really made it work. And a few years later, Rebecca Mader was at Dragon Con, and I was able to show it to her, and she really liked it. So, yay.
Heck yeah. Hey, look, if you got the person that you're cosplaying as giving you a thumbs up, you're doing right.
Yeah.
You're doing pretty
She
good.
was great. Like, it came really sudden. It was like a thing at Dragon Con. You know, sometimes friends will bring their friends and it's their first time and they have a little too much somehow
Ah.
in the first hour of a Thursday, and you got to drag them out to get them to a safe space. And
Hmm.
somehow it was like we saw the cast of Once Upon a Time, and that friend would drunkenly screamed, "Oh my God, I see so and so," and out, and like we're like on this street corner, and they're over at Cuts, the steakhouse, out sitting
Gotcha.
outside on
Yeah.
the patio. So it's like they're on the other side, and I guess I said it really loudly, where I was like, "We're not bothering them if they're eating. That's
Oh,
rude." And Rebecca Mader screams out over, "We're just waiting for our checks." I was like, "Oh,
wow.
well, I guess we got to go say hey now."
Well, look, it was a good segue. It was a
Yeah.
good, that was your opportunity. You took it and it won. You won with that. That's good.
Yeah.
No, that's actually really cool.
Yeah. She was really nice.
Yeah, I've met one person that didn't go quite as cool.
Oh, I'm
I didn't realize
sorry.
I didn't realize it was them until like 3 seconds later, and I'm
Oh,
like,
wait, no, who
oh,
was it? Oh, man.
well, I can't remember his name. No, Scott Valentine. He was an old 80s actor, and
Oh, yeah.
I got him mixed up with someone else.
Yeah, no, that will do it, especially when they're older and their ego's already hurt. Yep.
I'm like, hey, I loved you in this, and he's like, I wasn't
Eh,
in that. I go, yeah,
oh,
you were. Oh,
nope.
no, just
Don't.
I made it worse. I made it
Yeah,
so worse.
a
I was like, yes,
little.
you were right here. IMDb. Oh crap, that's not you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
that
was that was that
sucks.
was that was an awkward moment, to say
I
the least.
Makes sense. That sounds very awkward.
So with cosplay, probably the best question I can ask right now is, how do you choose who you want to cosplay as? Obviously you're going to be a fan of whatever character you're going for, but it's also there's a feasibility. So how do you
Yeah.
choose who you want to do?
My biggest thing has kind of been less about the visibility and more about who do you identify with, who do you want to bring
Okay.
to life. And that's just really from the 10 years that I have cosplayed, because like with Charlotte, I do like Charlotte in Lost. And I love Rebecca Mader, especially after meeting her and finding out how lovely she is. But that character was really, I did that essentially for my boyfriend. Not that
I
he
got you.
asked for it, but like when you're 19, you feel like you have to do a couple's cosplay. I originally didn't want to, but 19-year-old drama stuff. So some other girl was like, "Well, I'm going to do that because I want this guy," and I overheard it, and I was like, "But that's my boyfriend, you bleep."
Mm-hmm.
So then I switched up my costume. But you know, anyway, but like that really didn't feel that great the first time,
Mm,
mostly because of the environment. Then I tried Batwoman, and that didn't feel appropriate because I really didn't connect to Batwoman. It was just what I
got you.
had, and what I had available. And it's just kind of figuring out what feels right for you. Some people really feel right with just not researching anything and not connecting with the character and doing whatever's popular, and that's okay. I'm just one of those people that like, I really think the first step of cosplay is heavy research, and it's got to be something you love, because if you don't love it, you're not going to have the drive to finish it with the details that, you know, really make it stand out. And so it's kind of like with Spidergirl,
Mm.
which is one of my, you know, main cosplays. That's an idol. Like, I idolized her for years and years and years. I read the comic book since I was 8 years old. And, you know, because the original run was like from when I was 8 to 19. And I held on. And that's a large part of my life. But, you know, it's people feel differently, and that's okay. It was just like with that one, it did take me 10 years to say, yeah, I'm going to go do this, because I didn't feel like I almost like I wasn't worthy of it until I just said, I'm going to do it
I got you.
regardless. And I spent a whole year on something that most people with a spider costume take a few weeks to do. But that's because I wanted to make sure everything was right. I
And
had
you
to
can,
do everything right, because
and you
that's
can
how much
tell.
it means. Yeah, thank
I
you.
mean, no, and
Yeah,
you can. I mean, you can definitely tell outside of like, so some of the images that we've
since
seen that'll
I've
also
got
be going
my,
through here.
yeah, I've got my mask
Yeah,
here.
that's exactly. I was
So
about to actually bring that up because
yeah.
the mask. One of the pictures that I'd seen was a good close up, and you could
Hmm.
see the texture of the webbing
Yeah.
of on the mask, and that was just. I was like, that's. I mean, that looked like actual film quality. I mean, that looked so well good. I was like, dude,
Thank you.
that is time and effort. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's an awesome mask you got
Thank
set up
you.
there.
Thank you. Yeah,
Um,
it's just, and like I said, it was all this stuff because that's, I would feel like I was doing an injustice to the character I love so much
mhm,
if I didn't put that time and effort in. And that's kind of why I'm like, sometimes, especially in, it might just be Southern cons like Dragon
mhm,
Con and MomoCon, and you know, a lot of that, we're less about what's super popular and
mhm,
more about what brings you joy. And you'll
definitely.
always find someone that knows the character you're cosplaying, like at least one person. Now,
Mhm.
of course, yeah, it sucks because you might spend an entire day and no one knows who you are. But once you find that
Yeah.
one person and it's somebody you really, really enjoy and love, you're happy. And then plus, if you're doing something you really enjoy and love, you're not that worried about who notices who you are.
No, that's true. That is definitely true.
So,
Um, so you mentioned Spider Girl. Of all the
yeah.
cosplays that you've done,
Mhm.
um, what is the one that you are the? I'm trying to figure out how the best way to ask the
Okay.
question. There's because it could be two questions. One, what's the one you're the most proudest of?
Okay.
And then what's the one that is your favorite the most? Which maybe they may be one of the same, but it could also be different. So,
Yeah.
what's the one that you are the most proudest of that you've done in your 10 years?
I'm definitely proud of Spider-Girl. There's still stuff that I would like to tweak and fix,
Hmm.
but I'm proud of that one, and I'm also proud of the Fallout 4 Pip Girl that I
Okay,
made,
yeah.
mostly because of the giant life-sized party starter from Fallout 4. So there was a missile launcher in the game called the Party Starter,
Hmm.
and the whole thing that started that was I said, why can't it actually start the party? Which resulted in me talking with friends on how we could make this happen and make it basically a giant Bluetooth speaker with lights and sounds and
Wait, so that's a
etc.
speaker in
It
the
is a
picture?
speak. Yeah. So
Wow.
the picture that you see that I sent you, so it's
Yeah.
standing up, actually in the loft of old loft of Freeside,
Hmm.
Atlanta, which is a makerspace here in Atlanta, Georgia. And that actually, like, you can see the speaker, you can see the lights, because that's when we tested it once we got everything, and we were literally trying to test it, make sure the height was right and everything. It's a little shorter than it's supposed to be,
Hmm.
but I'm also like, they also have like the guy, like your vault dweller is,
Hmm.
you know, 6 feet for some reason. And so like that being 5'8" was not going to really work on my 5'4" frame. So it's 5'2". I did it as large as I could.
No, that's cool though.
But that was my first time 3D modeling, 3D printing, going through all
Okay.
of that. I had a ton of help from Scott McGraw. He helped me a lot. He's a really good friend, taught me everything I know about 3D modeling, which I would probably be a really horrible student, but you know, You live and you learn, and
No,
he
yeah.
taught me a lot, but like that was made with us, and we literally modeled everything from start. Like we modeled it. It wasn't just a file pulled from the game like a lot of people do.
Oh,
We literally modeled it like from
okay. Wow.
scratch
That could,
and
because I know
printed
that's
it.
one thing, people will download a file from somewhere, but you guys actually
Yeah.
constructed the 3D model.
Yeah.
Wow. How
So it took
long did
like
that take?
4 months straight of modeling. And that was like
God,
every night after work until like, I remember it'd be like, we'd work from like 5 to 4 a.m.
that's
I'd sleep for
dedication.
like 2 hours and then go back to work.
Oh, wow. That is
Yeah.
dedication. Oh my gosh.
So, you know,
Wow.
it was a lot. I would probably never do it again, but I'm very proud of that very, very fragile, horrible, like horrid in a crowd. It is the worst thing to ever bring to Dragon
I,
Con,
I
but
was just about to ask that. How is the traffic when
very
you're the foot
bad.
traffic?
Very bad. But
Wow.
it was, you know, it's very impressive. So I was very glad to at least get that out of my system and kind of learn the pitfalls of what happens when you make something super big and
Gotcha.
super crazy versus maybe something simple like my web shooters, because
Okay.
those are also modeled by me, and those are modeled 100% by me, 3D printed
Now that's
by
cool.
me, all that, you know, that's all done 100% by me. So that's like my first little thing, and I'd like to upgrade them and make them a little bit better because there's definitely problems with them. I think you can tell in some photos, like I've got a rubber band around them because they broke
Ah, okay.
and
I
fell
got you.
at Dragon Con last year. But, you know, that's still, even something as tiny as that makes me really proud because it's a
Oh yeah.
skill I learned. You know
I
what I mean?
mean, oh no, yeah. I mean, like I said, with the pictures that I've seen here of that you sent me, but also like on Facebook and whatnot,
Yeah.
because you also show up at, like, even the Dragon Con post.
Oh, yeah.
You actually you see you a lot. I mean, you're there. So,
Thank you.
but no, I mean, like, it just the items that the web shooters, the costumes, is just everything. Your props, you can tell that time and effort was put into it. But just realizing that you actually, doing the 3D modeling, I mean, that's, like I said, I work in an engineering department. I, After about an hour or two, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I definitely don't have the patience. But no, that's definitely something to be proud of. I mean, like I said, that is, especially in that one, that the Bluetooth speaker, 4 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was me and Scott. And mostly, I'll be honest, it was mostly Scott because I had no clue what I was doing. But it was, we would go through and, you know, whenever he got tired, I would switch off and maybe do a tiny bit because I knew, no, you know, and kind of learned like that. But yeah, it was a large part because I distinctly remember it being like 3 a.m. and he was doing like some stuff over here, and then I'm sitting here making the playlist of like
Mm,
all of the Neo swing that I can
okay.
find, you know, because it's got to start the party.
Oh no, definitely.
So I think
Most
I had
definitely.
I think I had like 250 songs like
Oh
in the
wow, you
Spotify
definitely were
playlist
starting the
at the end of the
party.
day. Oh yeah, no, that was like no song should have ever been repeated while I was running around with it.
I mean, 250 songs. That's, even if you put 3 minutes a song, which we all know there's songs that are,
Yeah,
much longer. Wow, your
especially
day.
yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So
So what is so speaking of foot traffic, as
yeah.
far as conventions you've gone to, what was probably one of the most memorable moments you had in cosplay at a convention, and which convention was it at?
Okay. So last Dragon Con, I was in the parade as Spidergirl,
Ah, cool.
and I was just kind of walking around and you know, during the parade, and there was this little girl and she was sitting on the edge, and I went over and, you know, I'm doing the high fives because everyone's yelling Spidey, and not every Spidey can get to every kid, and I know
Hmm.
that it wasn't like they weren't yelling Spidey at me, they were yelling Spidey at the other Spideys. But, you know, I'd go over, I'd high five. This little girl just looks at me and she's just staring up at me and she goes, Spider-Man can be a girl too?
No, that's cool.
And I was like, you know, because it's that one of those moments where you're taken aback and you're like, whoa, because you don't
Hmm.
realize like that profound, like it blew her mind. And I was like, yeah, totally. You know, and high-fived her, and, you know, I had a bunch of What If 105's reprints,
Hmm.
which is the first appearance of Spidergirl,
Okay. Yeah.
and a bunch of the dollar reprints that had happened last May, not May, this May, but May
Not 2019.
2019.
Gotcha.
And I wound up like I went to every comic book shop I could.
Hmm.
I ordered one from one comic book shop. I ordered 20, which is
Oh wow.
most they
Okay.
were willing to like special order me. And the rest of it, I just went and I grabbed from every comic book shop I could after work when they dropped. And I knew exactly what day they were dropping. And I think I got 80 total,
Oh wow.
maybe 85. I mean, and that's what I was just passing them out. That was the whole point, was if they didn't know who Spider-Girl was, or if they did,
Here's the introduction.
I was I'm handing them a comic, because to me was the best way to get someone to know. And it was, a very special thing that they even reprinted What If 105
Hmm.
after all these years. It was very, very special. So I did that, and shilling the comic around, but like I handed her the comic and went on my way. I hope maybe I turned that girl into a super Spider fan.
Oh, definitely.
But there also was a moment too where there was a girl probably my age.
Hmm.
She saw me, and she was like holding back tears, because she had never seen a Spider-Girl cosplayer like in person before. And she was like, so I only ever had What If 105, but I love that comic to death, and that's what I used to like learn how to draw. And I basically held on to that comic book until it fell apart. And I was like, oh, okay. Pulled out my bag, pulled up the reprint, and I was like, it's
That's
just a
cool.
reprint, but do you want it in like just tears? And that means a lot to me, because one, it's someone my age, someone who grew up with the comic almost as much as I did, kind of deal. Like, it means that much.
Hmm.
And I had that reaction to her because she didn't see a cosplayer, she saw Spider-Girl.
No, that is cool. I mean,
Like,
I don't know. I've talked to a few people, but that's like, that's. I mean, literally, it sounds like you definitely changed two people. That's
I
that's.
hope
I mean,
so.
that is. No, I mean that is totally cool. I mean that is really awesome.
Thank you.
Um, I mean, yeah, I could definitely see why that would be, definitely sticking with you.
I mean, to me, that touched me just in the fact of like, that's just, I don't have any intention of creating those reactions, but that's the reaction I'm getting over something I super love. Like, if it was just something super popular, I don't know if I would have had that connection.
No, I totally get you. I actually have a 6-year-old daughter. She turns 7 in
Aw.
September, and same thing. She's getting into Batgirl, Supergirl. She actually saw a picture of you because I was prepping for the
Aw.
interview, and she's like, "Is that a Spider Girl?" I'm like, "Yes, that's
Yeah.
Spider Girl." So
I mean, it's on Marvel Unlimited. If you
mhm.
want to download it, I definitely
Oh, okay,
suggest. It's a good family-friendly comic. There's nothing super
cool,
bad in it. They definitely don't sugarcoat over some, serious issues, but it's all
gotcha,
done very good. It's Tom DeFalco, Ron Friends, Pat Olive,
gotcha.
Sal Buscema.
No,
All the greats.
oh no, I'll definitely be. I'll definitely be getting that for her because same thing. Dad and older brothers are also comic book geeks, so she'd be like, "Can I go with y'all?" But no. When she saw the picture, when she saw a picture of you in costume that I was prepping, she's like, "I didn't know there's a Spider Girl." Oh, yes, there's a Spider Girl. There's actually several, but we got into that conversation. But it's just being a dad of a almost 7-year-old daughter, and with the memory you shared with us, like I said, it hits even me because I'm like, I want my daughter to know that there's nothing she can't do.
Exactly. Like, and
Just because
it's
she's a girl, she can do more because she's a girl. It's
exactly.
just hearing that just really, it's very good.
Yes. No, I just like the fact that people are, like I said, it's someone even that little just sees the power, like, essentially it like blew her mind. It was like the power of the
Mhm.
fact of, wait, I can do this. Like,
Exactly.
I can be Spider-Man when I grow up. Like,
Exactly.
it's a powerful statement for somebody so little, and I think that it can help carry over. There's stuff with Mayday that like really has touched me and kept me grounded over the years. And I wouldn't have that without the stories Tom and Ron and Pat and everybody in that team worked on, because
Definitely.
they created such a solid, well-rounded character that really does teach you lessons on how to be strong, how to stand up for yourself, but also how to do the right thing and be responsible. Because she kind of, what makes her so important to me, at least, is, Peter does Spider-Man because someone died due to his inaction. And that's why he learned to be responsible. She learned from her parents to be responsible. So she learned that she has the power to stop somebody from hurting someone else, or just stop the situation, because she does really try to find common ground with everybody, at least at first. But it's more of like, she is Spider-Girl to prevent that from ever happening because of what her father stood for and what her father told her.
That's cool.
Which,
that's cool.
it's a different take on it, but it's still very important, because it is like, hey, you can learn lessons from somebody else, and you can put that in your life, and you can prevent further tragedies before they happen.
No, that's deep. That's cool. I mean, I totally dig that. That is actually very deep. I mean, no, but it is. But because you don't, to your point, you don't realize how it's a different departure, but it's a departure stating if we have the ability to learn, we don't necessarily have to go through the pain. Like Peter Parker had to physically go through it to learn his quote unquote lesson.
Exactly.
But being able to learn without having to be forced, without being, I guess, arrogant, because Parker was arrogant. It was his arrogance that led to his issue. Yeah. So it just shows with not being arrogant that you can learn those life lessons as long as without having to go through the pain.
Yeah. And
by not being arrogant. That's actually wow. That's very
exactly.
cool,
well, and too, it's as much as like it kind of throws Ben and May under the bus, and I don't mean to do that, because they were good parents on their own, most definitely. Yeah. But it was kind of like Peter took his job as a dad so seriously. He basically is dealing with a daughter he raised to all of his values, and now all of a sudden, because there's a lot in the beginning where he really hates her going out, he hates her doing that because that's his little girl and he wants to protect his little girl, but he did raise her to be this way, like without, not because she didn't know she had powers until she was like 14, but gotcha. He still raised her to be such a good, caring and compassionate person, and to feel like she has this responsibility innately once you realize that she has these powers. And it's kind of like, well, you did it to yourself because you're just that good of a parent.
no, yeah, exactly. Actually, one of the questions that I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry. Like I said, that's just, I could talk about Spider-Girl all day long. I love it so much, because there's just so much to learn, and she means so much to me, which is why I did do everything I could to bring her to life.
I got you.
So,
and that's ironically, that's one of the questions I was going to ask was, what kind of inspiration, what drew you into it, what kind of inspiration? And I mean, I think it's safe to say I got my answer. So, but yeah. No, that's awesome though. I mean, that's totally awesome.
I mean, every other character always has something. Like I did Rose Tyler because so many people told me that I look like her. So I put on a blonde wig, and yeah, sure enough, if I put on a blonde wig, it's not that hard for me to look like Billie Piper. Mm-hmm. But, and I do love Rose, and I do connect to Rose, but there's a different connection in these two characters for me, because it's more like I think I connect to Rose because I look like Rose, versus I connect to May. Well, a lot of people are like, I look like Mayday too, especially when Ron Friends draws her, but I connect with her on every other level. It's not just that she looks like me, but that I grew up with her. She taught me lessons. She was like my big sister for a little while, and now I'm like weirdly, I feel like her older protective sister when people ask me for weird comments, like weird requests about feet photos. I don't understand. Okay. I don't understand the internet.
It's a strange place.
Yeah.
Very strange place. Wow.
Yeah. Sorry, it's a thing.
No,
I think almost all spiders get that, and it's a very strange request.
Really?
I don't get it. Yeah, I really don't get it. Yeah. I don't get it. But I don't want to, like, I'm not kink shaming anybody. I just don't get it.
No, but totally honest, that's one of those I never would have.
So
I'm
out of
gonna put those
all of
together.
my stuff, like, I've done Masato, I've done
Mhm.
Mari and her plug suit and her schoolgirl outfit from Evangelion, and you would think with Evangelion people would want, to lewd that.
Yeah,
But no,
I got
I really don't get anything disgusting unless it's like with Mayday. I don't, and it's
you.
like, yeah, and it's because I don't even get that much stuff with Mary Jane. And you would think, like, oh,
Which
Mary Jane, oh, yeah, it's so
yeah,
awkward. It's just awkward. I don't understand.
which by the way, which we'll be putting photos up
Mm.
here. You bring Mary Jane to like just to life. It just
Oh,
it's
thank you.
uncanny. Some of the pictures that you put up, I'm like that are on your Facebook and everything. It is like uncanny. It's like she stepped out of the comic.
Oh,
So
thank you.
so I mean, it's great job is all I can say because I'm like, I mean, there's some kind, I've been, to many conventions and when looked at seeing cosplayers, gotten pictures with them, talked to them, whatnot. And there's some that they buy a wig, they get the outfit, and
Yeah.
it's just like okay, yeah. But it's just like you, like I said, you actually look like if she were to actually walk out of the comic in her as a real person. I'm like, you're probably the closest thing of all the people I've met. I'm like, wow, yeah, that's yeah. So
I
so totally.
Thank you. So I always try to do her splash page outfit from Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1, 42 and 43, because if I
Gotcha.
don't say that, people might think it's the GOG issues that just came
Okay, I
out,
got
and
you.
that's very confusing.
Hmm.
It's a confusing situation. Comics are confusing. But I always try to do that like splash page outfit, that classic outfit. And
Mm.
it's so funny because I have a pair of these little pointed toe white booties.
Okay.
And for some reason with Mary Jane, I do not understand anything about this. And like, I still can't describe this, but it was like, I wasn't looking at the page or anything. I was just in the thrift store and I just saw a wall of these boots. And I'm like, God,
Okay.
these boots are so ugly. They are the ugliest boots. But like, as I kept like trying to go past them, I kept going, you need white boots for Mary Jane. And I'm like arguing with myself, like, no, I don't. No, I don't. I don't. Like, I'm good. No one cares about these. And it was like, no, you need them. You need them. Sure enough, I cave, I buy them, I go home. They are the exact same ugly boots that she is wearing in the first things.
Wow,
And I'm like,
that's uncanny.
I don't know if that's like my brain. Like, I was like, because it wasn't like my brain going, yes, you definitely know this. It was almost like, no, I'm being willed by like a force unto myself to
Because
buy
you're
these
trying to
ugly
walk by and
shoes.
it's like, no,
It's
come
like,
back.
no, you have to. And so I'm like, I don't know if that was just like the spirit of Mary Jane or just like my
That was
brain was
something.
just like, you have to have these. But it's funny because most of the time I get more noticed in Mary Jane when I'm doing stuff like wearing the Spider-Man onesie that I
Hmm.
own or doing pajama MJ from Amazing Mary Jane.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, for some reason those seem to pop up more, and maybe it's just because I probably look like I have more fun, but it's people don't really. Mary Jane has so many fun outfits over the years, and I'd like to do more. But I realize, like, unless you do a group with like her, Gwen, Harry, Peter,
Hmm.
no one's gonna get it. And even then, no one will
Gotcha.
probably get it because they'll be like, "What are these kids doing in '60s clothes?" But it's just no one like everybody wants that J. Scott Campbell
Yeah,
like
I got
crop
you.
top and short shorts, and I'm sitting here going, I want the ugly, like that ugly go-go outfit she was wearing, because
Oh
that looks
wow, you
way more fun than
really took it back.
But no, like there's a issue, and I can't remember the number, but it's like she's wearing it's just looks like a sequin
Mhm.
gown, a silver sequin gown, and those were everywhere during New Year's.
Oh, okay.
Like
Trying to
and
remember.
so I constantly kept seeing them, and I was like, I really should just go buy one and just do it. And then I was like, no, because no one cares. No one cares. I also want to probably do the wedding dress, but like
Hey, yeah,
actually do the wedding dress, because I've seen so many people just buy a random wedding dress and be like, I'm Mary Jane in a wedding dress. And it's like, no,
no, it was very specific. It was a very It was
There's a
very purposely specific.
yes, because actually in 1985. So here's a bunch of fun comic book nerd knowledge.
Heck
In
yeah.
1985, they asked Willie Willie Smith, who was
Mhm.
actually known more as for athletic wear,
Gotcha.
but he was really a. I think he was one at the time. He was definitely the highest grossing African American fashion designer, like of all time
Okay.
in the
Gotcha.
80s. I think of all time or like of the era. I'm
Mhm.
not 100% sure. Have not fact checked this in a while, but just it's more of a thing. And so he actually, this was the last wedding. They believe this is the last wedding dress he himself designed before he passed
Oh
away
wow.
due to complications of AIDS. And it's just he actually made the dress for a model for Stan Lee to
Okay.
officiate a wedding between Spider-Man and Mary Jane in Met's Field in
Oh wow.
1985. So the dress is out there, but I don't know who has it or if it still exists.
Wow.
And it's like, does anyone have the pattern? Does anyone have the dress? Does anyone have a lead on what's going on with this? Because that's something I want to know because no one's seen it past that Mets
Wow.
event.
But how what kind of a find that would be
That's what I like.
if you could
That's what I
find
want to
that.
know. Marvel's got to have it locked up somewhere, right? Like,
I'm sure it's in a vault. Heck, it might be here at Pinewood for all we know. No, I'm
I
joking.
mean, look, if they moved it to Pinewood, I feel like someone at some point would have told me about it. But like, I really want. My thing is like, if I do her wedding dress look, I've got to do
Mm.
it right,
No,
and
definitely,
I
yeah,
would have to do it exactly the way Willie Smith had it.
definitely. I mean, like I said, with the other stuff that you've done, you can definitely tell the difference between, you know, half-ass real fast versus actually putting your time and effort. Like I said, I still come back to the party starter, knowing
Yeah,
just how intricate
it's
that
just
is.
insane. Yeah,
Yeah,
this
I
huge,
mean,
insane thing.
definitely.
No, like it literally, like there's no. I will if anyone ever asks, because people were asking me, they're like, "You should mold it," and I was like, "No." I was
I
like,
was gonna
even
say,
molding it is gonna be expensive, and they were like, "How much
oh
would you
yeah,
cost to mold it?" And I was like, thinking about it and thinking about like all my prop maker friends,
I
and
was
I
just
was
gonna
like,
say, yeah,
three thousand
yeah.
dollars, and they were like, "What?" And it's like, "Yeah, no, probably it would probably take $3,000
Oh yeah,
to
easy.
redo it."
Most definitely. Yeah,
And
that's one of those. Ate it. You got to take care of it like a baby. Make sure it
yep,
doesn't get broken or anything.
yep,
And actually, we're reaching the end here, but
yeah.
and not so much specific to the party starter, but intricacy. What outside of the prop, because that's an awesome prop, but
Thank you.
as far as costume, as far as the cosplay,
Mhm.
what would you say is the most intricate costume that not so much difficult, but just the most detailed? Is it the Fallout or is it
It's Spider-Girl, most
Okay,
definitely.
gotcha.
That's the one that has the like I looked at how people did the amazing
Mhm,
Spider-Man suits, so the Andrew Garfield suits. They did a
gotcha.
unique thing on the movie set where they I think it was an Adidas or
Okay.
Asics. It was Asics. It was a special thing of Asics that they basically made the boot out of the ASIC tennis shoe. So I took some knockoff Adidas that had a blue sole, like
Hmm.
Mayday's blue soles,
Gotcha.
and basically learned how to boil a shoe and tear a shoe apart and glue on a sock over, over it with shoe glue. And
Wow.
that was a fun little experience. I do enjoy it just in like, those are some of my favorite cosplay shoes ever because I put so much memory foam in it as I was like reconstructing it. So they are super, super, super nice. Obviously, like I made my web shooters.
Hmm.
I started on these, on this face mask,
Hmm.
doing this particularly right. So like, there's no Spider-Girl face shells
I
unless
got
it's
you.
done by Armory props that are accurate.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Okay.
because I started on this first, but I got sick. And so I needed some help. So I contacted Armory Props, which
Hmm.
I don't know if they're even still around anymore. I have no clue. I haven't seen him in a
Gotcha.
while. Hopefully he's okay. But we basically had to work together to get this exactly right because most other Spider-Girl cosplayers, and it's again totally fine,
Mm.
they'll use the amazing or the ultimate eyes, like the
Yeah.
either super baggly eyes or the super, just some super super big eyes, which work. It's very very Pat Olaf.
Gotcha.
But these are kind of a mixture of Pat in terms of size, but also directly from What If 105 with this point.
Gotcha.
I was on the crawl space interviewing Tom DeFalco and Ron Friends, which was amazing.
That's
Because
cool.
like I said, they're the
That's
creators.
cool. I'm
They're
jealous.
amazing. They were amazing. And Ron had actually, he was like, yeah, that's Pat's design. And I was like, no, it's from you. And I had to pull, and I still haven't put this back on the thing. I had to pull up. So they had a special edition on Catskill Comics, where that's where if anybody ever wants a Ron Friends commission or a Pat Olaf commission, they're on Catskills Comics. But they were doing a run of a special reprint of the What If 105 from May of 2019, signed by Ron and Tom. And so anyway, I have it framed and I have it normally up there, but like I had to literally go, it's like right here, dude. Like it's right here.
Awesome. That's cool.
So I felt like a really cool cool super nerd that I was able to remind them of that.
That is cool.
Not to toot my own horn.
Hey,
hey,
I
look,
think you earned it.
Ron Friends will still smoke me on any knowledge.
I got you, but I think on this one you earned a little bit at least.
Well, it was just I was like, it's not like I didn't stare at these things forever.
No,
but yeah, so like it, just between that, like there was even I didn't make the pattern myself. A lot of people sub-dye and make patterns with Spidergirl, but I didn't make it. One of the better really awesome Spidergirl designs is done by Spider-Bite Designs, and I had to ask her though, because I noticed people getting things printed. The calf, her web calf, is not high enough because it hits really at her knee.
Okay.
And so I had to actually ask her to do that and make sure that everything would hit on my body the way it was supposed to.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then when like I was asking for the sub-dye to be printed, I had to ask Zentai Zone. And like I was very, very meticulous about every single place, how every single thing needed to be cut and done. And I'm sure that I annoyed the crap out of them, but they were wonderful and they did it. And like I was so paranoid about it. I kept asking every week. I was like, can I get an update? Like, y'all remember that it's supposed to be like this, right? Like I just want to make sure that we're aware.
Exactly.
And I'm sure I annoyed the crap out of them, but they did so great. And then like, I did the webbing, learning how to puff paint with the webbing.
Wow.
I didn't go full into it. I just did the lines. But you can tell on the design of the suit and how wonderful it was printed, all the different like shading and stuff like that. That's just there alone. And I didn't want to like do too much on it because I actually really enjoy the way it's printed. But yeah, no, I did everything I could to mix, like you said, where it looks like I come from a movie. So like looking from all the movie stuff to the comic book and see how I could make a good mishmash. So like I said, that I brought her to life, because that's what I strive to do with all that I do. And it was such again, with Mayday in particular, it was a big thing for me to do. It took a lot of guts to get over self-doubt and a lot of fear.
I can imagine.
So, anytime anybody compliments me on it, I'm just like, oh my God, thank you. Cause like I still, it's so weird. It's like, I'll see it sitting in the closet and I'm just like, I'm scared of you. But then of course, like if I go wear it, the moment it's on, I'm happy.
Exactly.
And I want to do a dance because I'm so excited. But it's that weird juxtaposition constantly because it means a lot to portray this character versus just having a fun costume, which I also think that there is a lot of good with that. So like I don't ever want to knock anybody down that's just like, well, I just do it because I want to have fun.
Gotcha.
No, I just want to do a silly character because it's fun, and that's fine. That's totally something that you are allowed to do, and that's the beauty of cosplay. I think my biggest thing on it is always just, if it's a hobby, it should be fun, but it also should be there for you to learn. So you should always be trying to strive and learn to do another skill. And that's something beautiful with cosplay, is that there's so many skills you can learn through it, like wig styling and, you know, like I said, 3D printing, 3D modeling, painting, shading, sewing, just having an eye for detail. So you can go to the thrift store and grab things, and makeup, and, you know, all sorts of stuff. That there's just so much that goes into it, and it's all about how detailed and creative and how much you want to go into it. But it's always just, it's about of how much drive do you have to do this on your own.
Yeah.
And
I,
for me, I got to
yeah.
have a character I love to do it. But when I do, I go all out, because that's, you know, to me, it's enjoyable.
No, I mean, if you don't, it's not worth it. It doesn't. The payoff is
Exactly.
is, you know, like you said, the pictures you've seen, the experiences you've had. That's because of how much, you know, blood, sweat, tears, and love you put into it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
no, I mean, that's you pretty much said it all with that. You know, because one of my questions was going to be, you know, what is advice you would give people who are looking into getting it, but
Exactly. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. That there's
It's,
no that's
if you
yeah.
want to do it, just go. And it can be something like with the Charlotte, like my first cosplay with
Mm.
Charlotte, as simple as going to a thrift store and just finding similar items, or going on Amazon and or eBay or Poshmark, or, you know, just finding those items that you need
Gotcha.
from a movie or from a TV show. Or it could, you know, like you can totally buy a costume off eBay or from
Yeah,
from a commission. Those mass-produced costumes sometimes are pretty decent, and all you need to do is just do a little details, like do a little
exactly.
detail work. There's no shame in it. I just, you know, maybe don't say it's yours and go to a costume contest.
Yeah,
That's where the line is drawn on. That's not okay. But there's
gotcha.
no shame in buying a costume off eBay and enjoying yourself. It's all just based on what you want to do and what you want. Again, like I said, to me, it's what you want to bring to life. But, you know, that could be a character you barely know
Hmm.
and you just think is cool, or it can be someone that you grew up, you know, like I'm sure there's plenty of guys that like their first costumes were Goku, because Goku was someone they wanted to be. And there's nothing stopping you. There's plenty of Power Ranger stuff. Like I would love at one point, you know, at some point to know enough to make a pink Power Ranger costume. And that's saying something, because like one thing that's always pushed me away from doing it
Hmm.
beforehand is because I'm not Amy Jo Johnson's size. I'm a lot taller. I'm 5'5", she's like 5'2", and tiny.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I mean, I'm tiny, but I'm not that tiny. So it's, you know, it's kind of that situation of like, well, I know I won't fit her, but at some point I probably will feel confident enough or curious enough to see what the process is on building a helmet, on making those gloves, on making, you know, that stuff. And then the costume will happen.
Ironically, well, no, it's funny you say that because um, I'm also in Metro Atlanta, just south of the city. So obviously I go to Dragon Con, and
Yeah.
there's a picture of you with a friend of mine. When I was going through getting ready for everything,
Which one?
from Dragon Con, he's dressed up as a ghost busting Beetlejuice.
Yes.
Yeah, Joseph
Just,
Lavender. Yeah.
yeah. So he actually wants me, and that's something, something I need to do during this quarantine, is one of my fun or costumes where they weren't like, they were definitely cosplay quality because I definitely worked on it, but I
uh,
did, it was for a Halloween costume and it was supposed to be fun, was Elvira.
oh,
And
okay.
he has asked me basically to work on like making an Elvira. Like we need to do like some other,
Oh.
like maybe I'm thinking maybe like we'll get like Joel, like
Hmm.
someone do a Joel from Mystery Science Theater 3K, or like, and then
Ooh,
like maybe do another, maybe like Bride of Frankenstein and you know, Dracula or something like from the Graveyard Review,
that
and maybe
sounds
be like
pretty
the
awesome.
Nightmare Busters, like, or
Yeah.
some, whatever they are. Because he was telling, he's like, yeah, I would like, you know, maybe like you do a ghost busting Elvira, which would be a lot of fun.
That would be cool. I'm not
And
gonna lie,
so-
that would totally be cool.
And it's something it's been on my list. And so I was even today, I was looking just at Halloween costumes because, you know, nothing else to
Yeah.
really do right now.
Yeah, for real.
Because there's a virtual Dragon Con, and
Yeah, I see.
but
Yeah.
that's a lot of fun. But I don't, you
It's
know,
not exactly the same, but
not
I
the
mean,
same.
it's
It
it's
isn't.
something.
It's not the same. It is something. And I think that it definitely helps the volunteers who are working, especially
Yeah.
with Dragon Con TV, who work so tirelessly
Mhm.
all year to make you guys skits. This way, those skits aren't wasted.
Exactly. They're actually the
So,
showcase this year,
and
basically, essentially.
they are essentially the showcase this year, which is
Yep.
I believe in them wholeheartedly. I help out with media relations from time to time, just
Oh,
when they need
cool.
help. So mostly it's just helping. Like I'll be in front of I'll dress up for
Mhm.
TV.
Gotcha.
So that might not kind of happen this year. It might. We'll see. But it's a lot of fun, and they're good guys, and that's why it's like I felt so bad while everybody was getting beaten up and they couldn't say anything of what was going
Yeah.
on, because they really couldn't, like, just out of
Eh,
contract obligations.
Exactly.
Um,
It's not that I don't want to. I just I legally can't.
like it's like, guys,
I don't want
like
to get sued.
we can't, like, we have to continue, everything's fine until like we're told not to.
No,
Um,
exactly. Yeah.
So at least this way, it's kind of the people that are sad that they can't go have something, and the people
Definitely.
that were scared about it, it's safe. We're safe. Everyone's smart. We've all been smart. It's okay.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I need to get. I think with nothing else to do, ghost busting Elvira.
Now,
But
you know
I
what?
got to figure out how he made the pack, the Echo pack.
Yeah, you see, I know he had one. He had one that he's had for a while. I know he got himself a printer because he's been doing the Power Ranger. Like
The
when
Power
you say
Ranger
Power Ranger helmet,
helmets.
that's why I thought of.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know a guy, but so do you.
Yeah, because he did the Power Ranger helmet for him and his
Mhm.
girlfriend. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I know he did pictures and put them on Facebook. I was like, dude, that's cool. Make me a Green Ranger Power coin. I want the dragon coin. No.
See,
But,
now, like, as I was talking about the group, his girlfriend would be a perfect Bride of Frankenstein.
See, there you go.
We gotta do the group now. That's Dragon Con
Totally.
2021.
That's a plan. Totally a plan.
Yeah.
But no, like I said, I want to go ahead and thank you for once again taking the time to talk to us. Like I said, it was very, very informative, and like I said, very cool information. Definitely would love to have you on again in the future.
Of course. Yeah.
Especially when any new characters that you decide to cosplay, would definitely love to get on the inside track on that. So
no, totally.
But no, I really appreciate it. Like I said, look for Kelly McDaniel. Her information will be on the
Thanks.
screen.
Yep.
And you guys have a good one.
All right. Bye.